Hi, and welcome to our new location in Jerusalem, Israel. I'm Rabbi David Katz of GetSoulStrong.com. A lot of people on the internet these days are talking about what is the Oral Torah. And that is a question that needs answered. Let's start from the beginning. The Oral Torah, you could say, was written in the Mishnah by Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi. That constitutes the Mishnah, culminating the early rabbinic time period called the Tanaim, the rabbis of the Talmud in the earlier sense. Then there were discussions of the Mishnah called the Gemara. And the Gemara was finished and redacted, which was the finishing of the complete set of Talmud, by rabbis by the name of Ravina and Rav Ashi. Now you have the Oral Torah written and committed to writing. At that time, it is about 2,000 years ago to about 1,500 years ago. Then you have around the year 1000, the era of the medieval rabbis called the Rishonim. All your friends like Rashi, Ramban, Rambam, etc., etc. The Rishonim, the medieval times, segued to the Achronim, the later rabbis from the time of the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo of Tzfat, all the way through the New York rabbis, as I call it, Rav Moshe Feinstein, Lubavitcher Rebbe, etc., etc. I myself, Rabbi David Katz, am not, speaking in the third person, I am not an Achron, in my opinion, and it's pretty widely accepted and thought of this way. Rabbis today are not Achronim, meaning I will never write an authoritative sefer like Rav Moshe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, etc., etc. So the Oral Torah now, we in the yeshivas and the Bati Midrashim have shelves and bookshelves filled with Sifrei Torah. Many books are on the shelves. And the question is, are these books Oral Torah? Are they Torah? Because they're not the Chumash, they're not scripture. So we call them Torah. Are they Oral Torah? Are they Torah? The question is, are they Torah? And there are those that say on the internet, no. You know, there's a strict letter of the law, there's the Chumash, there's the Tanakh, there's scripture, and there's the Mishnah, there's the Sanhedrin. How do I justify that a Stam Sefer, a regular Torah book, is not only Torah, but part of Oral Torah? And here's the simple answer. Let's take a book written by a rabbi in the year 1700. Let's take a book by a rabbi written in the year 1800, 1900, 1600. Let's just call it the Achronim writings. Let's not even get into the Rishonim. Let's talk about Achronim, the later rabbis filling the bookshelves. These rabbis, why are their books considered A, Torah, B, Oral Torah? And the answer is simple. When you read their books, a large part of it, I'm not going to give an absolute percentage, but a large part, if not entirely or mostly entirely, meaning the bulk of it is going to be a copy-paste from the Talmud. And then from that copy and paste from the Talmud, there's going to be a copy-paste from the Rishonim, who are directly copy and pasting from the Talmud. This chain from Talmud to Rishonim through the Achronim, I call that copy-paste, or it is the Masorah. So did the Achron, in the singular, actually write much or anything of his own? Not really. He's going to write an angle and compare and contrast pieces of Torah either from the Talmud, from the Mishnah, from the Gemara, from the Rishonim, or earlier Achronim, who themselves copy and pasted. So you get the Rambam and the Rishonim. Rambam will largely extract direct pieces from the Talmud, and the Achronim will extract direct writings from either the Talmud or the Rishonim. This constitutes the Masorah, so that every book you read in the bookshelf, again, there's always Yotzim and a Klal, there's always the exception. But most books on the shelves are a copy and paste tradition going back to the times of Chazal. Chazal are the authoritative rabbis from the Talmud. Is there exceptions to the rules? Obviously, all the time. But when you stick to the Masorah, the accepted chain of tradition of rabbinic literature is often, if not always, a copy and paste forward and backwards from Chazal, which is Tanayim Amarayim, through the Rishonim and through the Achronim. That's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed this nugget live from Jerusalem.